This week, we will be covering spiritually oriented activities and interventions, integrated body, mind, and spirit. Holistic orientation based on Eastern philosophies and therapeutic techniques. Integrated body, mind, spirit social work attempts to expand beyond existing social work practice models and integrate more holistic orientation based on Eastern philosophies and therapeutic techniques in order to create effective, positive, and transformative changes in individuals and families. A core philosophical position undertaken by integrative social work is its holistic orientation, which emphasizes the body, mind, spirit connection with the larger environment. Systems perspective. A systems perspective is fundamental to family systems theory, which forms the basis for most contemporary family treatment and therapy approaches. Basic concepts of a systems perspective include feedback, which describes the process of regulation and control of the SEM through the operation of positive and negative feedback. Recursiveness, which denotes the mutual interaction and includence among different components of a system. Connectionism, which refers to the interrelatedness of all parts of a system, that everything is connected. Morphostasis and morphogenesis, which contribute to stability and changes in systems. A systems perspective brings forth the following views of change in human systems. Wholeness. The whole is more than the sum of individual parts. Interrelatedness and the connectedness. Change is one part of a system leads to change in other parts of the system. Change is a constant. A strengths-based perspective, feedback processes are self-corrective and regulating for the functional survival of the system. Participation. Understanding is possible only from the perspective of the subject who is doing the questioning, describing or explaining the existence of multiverses that are experienced, lived, and interpreted by the involved individuals. Albert Einstein proposed that E equals mc squared, implying that energy and matter are merely different forms of the same thing. Theorists suggest that nonlinear science implies that consciousness is more dynamic, interconnected, and non-determinate than conventional functionalist approaches believe. Integrative body, mind, spiritual social work adopts a holistic perspective in treatment. Holistic social work treatment involves an orientation to the Deo context, attention to the relatedness between people, events, or objects, and preference for explaining, predicting, and responding to events based on such relationships. One common thread that clearly cuts across yin-yang perspective, Daoism, and Buddhism. Yin-yang. The concepts of yin and yang have been described as fundamental to the Chinese view of the world. The yin-yang perspective can be perceived as systems perspective described in the ancient Chinese terminology. Based on the perception and long-term observation of the nature, ancient Chinese scholars believe that all things in the world could be classified into two broad categories, yin and yang. The inseparability of yin and yang is grounded in the belief that both the yin and yang forces originate from the Dao. A yin-yang perspective suggests the following views of change and health. Everything is connected because yin and yang originate from the same universal and non-transient force, the Dao, from which life originates and from which one can never truly be separated. They have an inseparable relationship that are connected in a fundamental way. Relativism. Yin and yang are relative and not absolute concepts. Mutuality and interdependence. Yin and yang are mutually dependent. One cannot exist without the other, and they cannot flourish on their own. Change is constant. Yin and yang are dynamic forces that are changing and evolving at all times. Dynamic equilibrium, yin and yang, are mutually facilitated as well as repressing. They maintain a dynamic equilibrium together. The centrality of balance and harmony. There is no value attached to any one attribute or the characteristic. The criterion for well-being or health is not an overwhelming abundance of either yin or yang, but a balance of the contrasting forces that exist in harmony with each other. Attainment of balance can only happen in movement. Although a balance of contrasting forces in harmony with each other is central to the state of health or well-being, Such a balance is not a static state, but accomplished in a process of dynamic movement. Daoism. Dao means the way. The focus of these three texts are diverse and different, although all share the idea that one can live one life wisely only if he or she learns how to live in accord with life's natural but unseen forces and the subtle processes that not only based on society's established ideals and concerns. Daoist teachings primarily originated in the texts the Dao Jing, Zhengzi, and Neojiang. Daoism suggests the following regarding change in life. A holistic system, cosmic view of nature. Dao is a force that gives life to all things and brings them into harmony. Reality is constantly changing and evolving in dynamic and complementary ways. The centrality of balance, trust in the innate wisdom, intelligence, and healing power of human beings, nature, and the cosmos. Unhelpful actions, excessive emotions, desires, control, and planning is not helpful as these are not in alignment with natural forces. Transcendence of self, excessive emotions, worldly desires, and social standards allow virtue to come about and a person to be in harmony with the Tao and attain ultimate peace or boundless life. Buddhism originated in ancient India, the way of enlightenment. Buddhism is a philosophy that originated in ancient India. Buddhism means the way of enlightenment, and Buddha means enlightened person. Seeing life as full of suffering, Buddhism is primarily concerned about freeing people from such sufferings. Buddha noticed that phenomena were conditional, that is, the coming of phenomena will bring about the next. The law of dependent origination suggests impermanence. Phenomena are always changing. No self. All phenomena are inherently empty in nature. Phenomena exist interdependently and relatively based on cause and effect. Middle path. The similar and different relationships between phenomena promote a middle position that avoids the notion of duality, an either-or position or rigid attachment to notions of there definitely is or there definitely is not. A view of human change. The yin and yang, Daoism and Buddhist philosophies provide a unique view of change and health that is different from the assumptions and practices of mainstream social work treatment. Such a view, change and health emphasize mutuality, complementarity, and balance, using the metaphor of yin and yang and the resulting focus of holistic dualism. The view of change and health, as described by Eastern philosophies, are different but complementary to the position adopted by conventional social work treatment. The views regarding change and health, as explained by the yin and yang perspective, Daoism and Buddhist philosophies, inform the development of integrative social work practice. According to Dr. Y.L. Feng, traditional Chinese medicine regards health as harmony's interplay of complex interpersonal and environmental interactions. A holistic evaluation of biological, psychological, and spiritual states can shed light on a person's physical, social, and mental health. Eastern philosophies such as Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism have been found to be helpful in allowing patients to let go of their pain and suffering, with a new perspective on enduring pain, growth, and transformation may occur. Questions. How could a social worker include Eastern philosophies into their therapeutic approach? Do you think people are drawn to others that are opposite to them, much like yin and yang suggest? How did your view of the world change after this week's readings? Do you believe your idea of a holistic approach was enlightened? Thank you.